Hi. Hopefully by now you've already watched the nonsense conversion video. We are going to use the method that I showed you in that to do conversions. Now, some of the conversions that we start with, you may think that you can do without showing any work or anything, but I want you to show your work. I want you to practice this method. The units will get more difficult and we will end up converting between metric and our system. So you need to be able to practice these. It is on page 84 of your handbook that we have these conversions. And these are the ones you need to learn. I don't have capacity up here because I have something to show you with that. You need to know length. 12 inches is a foot, 3 feet is a yard, 5,280 feet in 1 mile. You probably don't need to know how many yards are in a mile because we often use feet more than yards. And if you need to convert to yards, you can always use that conversion to do that. Weight, we're lucky we only have a couple things that measure weight. 16 ounces is a pound. 2,000 pounds is a ton. That's all you need to know for weight. For time, most of these you know. 60 seconds is a minute. 60 minutes is an hour. 24 hours in a day. 7 days in 1 week. 52 weeks in a year. Use weeks in a year rather than months because not all months have the same number of days or weeks. So it's easier if you just convert weeks to years and don't worry about months. These also have the correct abbreviations that you are to use. Do notice miles is abbreviated MI, minutes is MIN. When we get into the metric system, you will use M for meters. So that's why miles has to be MI. Because they both measure lengths, it tells you which measuring system you're in. Okay. What I didn't have up there was how to measure capacity. Capacity is how much something holds. It's the liquid measurement. And the reason I didn't put that up there is because we have more liquid measurements than we have of any of the others, and sometimes it's difficult to remember. So, you may have seen this before. Big G is a gallon. In a gallon, there are 4 quarts. Each quart has 2 pints. Each pint has 2 cups. And it's kind of difficult to get those little C's inside there. That's why you have to start with a big G. Now, what I'm not going to try to get in there is the fact that there are 8 ounces in 1 cup. One of the worksheets that I also use also has, there are 4 tablespoons in 1/4 of a cup. There are 3 teaspoons in 1 tablespoon. Okay, let's look at some conversion problems. $43,296 feet, and we want to know how many miles that is. Or I might just say change it to miles. Okay, we know what we're starting with. We're starting with 43,296 feet. Remember, that's not an equal sign. We're going to multiply by a conversion factor, and we need feet in the bottom so that that will divide out. We know that there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. The feet divide out, and that's going to leave me with the number of miles. That's in the denominator, so we're going to divide. And when you divide that out, you should get 8.2 miles on your calculator. And that's all you have to do for that problem. One thing that I do want to tell you, in the workbook on some of the problems, you will see, I don't know, some problem number and the problem all written out, and at the end they're going to have an asterisk. Well, if you look at one of the first pages in your book, it tells you that when there's an asterisk on the problem, you are to round to the nearest tenth. I wanted to point that out because I don't believe everyone read all of the small print at the very beginning of your workbook. But that's round to the nearest tenth. Otherwise, some of them don't say what to round to. Often that means don't round, but if you end up with a long decimal, usually I'd like you to round to the nearest hundredth. And that means round correctly. Don't just drop off the end of it. Okay, let's convert 2 cups to tablespoons. And we want to know how many tablespoons that is. Notice also a tablespoon, we use a capital T for the abbreviation, and a teaspoon we usually use a lowercase t. Okay, we're starting with 2 cups. And we need cups on the bottom. Well, I know that 4 tablespoons is equal to 1/4 of a cup. And I put an equal sign there again. Please don't do that. There's an equal sign up there, but that's a multiplication. Well, this is, I have 2, and I'm going to divide it by 1/4. If you divide by a fraction, we change it to multiplying by the reciprocal. So basically that just means 2 times 4. Well, that gives you 8. And then 8 times the 4 up there gives you 32 tablespoons are in 2 cups. Okay. The difficulty here, just remember that if you're dividing by a fraction, you flip it upside down. So dividing by 4 is the same as dividing by 1/4. So dividing by 1/4 is the same as multiplying by 4. One-fourth of a mile is how many yards? Well, I told you didn't have to know how many miles there were in a yard or how many yards there are in a mile. So just start with 1/4 of a mile. And what I did tell you is there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Okay, so here the miles are going to divide out. And I'm left with feet, but I want to know yards. Well, I know if I put feet in the denominator, those are going to divide out. And I know that there are 3 feet in 1 yard. So the feet divide out. And I have yards. Well, this is actually a fraction, which means that's in the denominator. If you just look at the numbers, you have 1/4 times 5,280 times 1/3. Or that's 5,280 divided by 12. And if you put that in your calculator, you will get 440 yards. Is the same as 1/4 of a mile. And yes, this is what I want to see on your worksheets. Your worksheets ask you to convert. I want you to convert using this method. Now, I've been telling you to put them in your calculator. You can put it in your calculator, but I need to see what numbers you used and where you put them. Now, in the measurement worksheet, which is page 17 in your book, it starts off with very simple problems. It asks you to do a couple division problems. So if it's just dividing, divide it. You don't need to show the conversions with that. But when it asks you to convert from one unit to another, you need to use these methods. Okay. Good luck. There is another video. The next one will be on what to do when you have miles per hour or feet per second squared. That will be explained in the next video.